We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gonna give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. So glad to be back in front of my guy, Belal Muhammad, on a weekly basis. Episode 144. How about that? 144, Belal. How you feeling today, man? You look great. Fresh cut. How you feeling, bro?
My brother, feeling good. Excited, like you said, back shows, getting back on normal routine again, back in the gym. So body's feeling better now. Just excited to get going again.
So do you go to the same barber every time? Because that's looking pretty tight.
Yeah, no, bro. I've been with this guy since like sophomore year of high school. Like I go to him once a week. That's my guy right there. He started in his dad's grocery store, then to his garage. Now he got his own shop. So yeah, he's the best.
So like when you were a sophomore in high school, could he have taken you, or you were tough as nails back then as well?
No, in high school, like I was more of a hothead. I was like always trying to start. Like, yeah, I was just like lifting weights and literally like just talking trash and just like always wanted to get in fights. That
just doesn't seem to be your nature nowadays. And you're an old man though. You're getting a little bit up there, right? So
I said, literally, once I started training MMA, like I stopped like becoming a hothead. It was crazy how it like turned out that way.
Well, for those who don't know this story, like Belal and me and Ignacio Balmondes were in front of a hotel about a year ago, and there was some drunk guy with his shirt off, sort of like creeping all around all of us. And Nacho was like practicing high kicks, just like sort of showing the guy who's ready to go. And Belal was just like super relaxed. But I've told this story before. All I wanted was this guy to just touch me, because had he touched me, it was over. If he had touched Belal probably would have calmed the situation down. But had that dude touched me, it was over.
We were just waiting. That would have been like the worst night of his life.
So now that you've trimmed up the mustache, we can see on your fine camera the lip a little swollen, but looking good, man. Cheek looks good. Like you look good, man. How we healing up?
Feeling good. The lip is just still getting there, but it got a lot better. The cheek is fine. So like the lip, we just got a couple like red light therapy sessions, but we're feeling good. Getting back in there. Got some rolling in with Nacho Gerald earlier today. Nacho looking like a tank. I posted on my story yesterday. He was sparring with the Dill, and he like spinning kicked him and like dropped him with a spinning kick. And then people were like, "Bro, that looked fake." I was like, "Bro, it was literally in the middle of the sparring." I'm like, Nacho's locked in, man. I can't wait to go to Baku and see him shine.
Dude, I love it. And we'll get to that a little bit later. I want to just ask you, right? And I know you're not obviously in camp right now. You're still healing to a certain extent. But like, what was your day like today before this point? Like, so take me through a typical day. And maybe it's not typical now because you're out of camp. But what was your day like today?
I mean, they woke up probably like around 8. Probably had some coffee. Then went to the gym. Gerald teaches jiu-jitsu on Thursdays. Got Gerald's class in, watched Nacho hit pads for a little bit, came back, and here we are.
And here we are. So, and I just want to let folks know, right? Because very regimented, right? It's midnight to 8 a.m., pretty specific routine with that, right? So even though you're out of camp, I mean, few weeks out, and here you are back in it, though. I just like hearing a typical day in the life, because no wasted time with Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, no, for me, like I like to be like on a schedule. Like if I'm just like chaos and you get so bored, there's nothing to. Like if I had nothing to do, I'm just be like, you start going crazy. You start just doing random stuff. So like for me, that's why I live in the gym. I live in like a regimen. All right, I got to do this, this, and this at this time. So it just keeps me locked in no matter what.
That's why when you had the pick line in your arm for 6 weeks, I was more worried about you mentally than physically. Like I knew you were going to get through the staff, but the mental component of like not being able to do anything. It's like, you don't want to sit around and play video games all day. That's not your style.
Yeah, that's why I say that was probably the hardest thing. That was probably one of the hardest things I had to deal with.
All right, so a lot to get to. Well, but more of a regular Remember the Show. I hope I'm going to see you down the road. I know we got Nacho the week before International Fight Week. That should cause some disruptions in your schedule, but I'm looking forward to seeing you. And are you going to be in Newark? Has that been confirmed? Yes or no?
Yeah, we should probably be going down there probably late in the week, probably like Thursday or Friday.
Gotcha. Juliana Pena,
Yeah,
Kayla Harrison, Sean O'Malley. First Marab. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the topics here. So you are the first topic. And so I know we'll get to Nacho. I know you're sort of getting him ready, but I want to check on your health and sort of what's going on with you. See when you're thinking about ramping up the training. And so we got Nacho, right? So Mike Valley, VFS, got Juliana the 7th, Nacho the 21st. A crazy month coming up for you and your team. Like, what's everything going down in Chicago these days?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Mike is down there in Vegas right now with Ramiz. So yeah, he's had
right.
it's been a wild, crazy month for him. But like I said, that's why I said he's the best in the world. Jim's good, man, feeling good. Like when you're in there and you got multiple people in camp, it's just like a different type of energy. Now it's just we got to defend it. We got to get it back. Like for all of us, like I said, we're a small family. So when one of us lose, we all lose. And for myself, I'm not the type, like I said, I'm like back in the gym. I'm like, bro, I got to turn these guys up now. I got to make sure Nacho wins. I got to make sure that me losing doesn't affect him. Me losing doesn't affect Juliana. And it's just trying to just get back to the positive energy, getting back to the good momentum, picking it back up again, and getting them right back going.
Just unbelievable looking at you, you know, and it's like I said last week, you were yourself and you're yourself this week as well, but it's like different. Last week, right? We got the glasses going, we got the full beard going, right? And now this week, right? Everything. And now you're like more all of a sudden like primal again. Last week we had a little more chill, Belal. You're like ready to go all of a sudden. When I hear about you getting Nacho ready, and I didn't even intend to go down this road about Ignacio Bahamondes, but gosh, man, this is your dude, right? He looks up to you. You're a mentor to him, but you're also primary training partners of one another, him being sort of a large 155. I think you present great challenges for one another. So, you know, at less than a month out, where is Nacho at?
He's locked in. He's looking good. He's, like I said, I posted on my story yesterday. I don't like really posting like sparring footage or anything, because especially when, you know, Adil takes a little kick to the body. But not just kick, and I was like, oh man! But when my guy, they clocked it in right away. And the Dill's like, yeah, you can post it, and I was like, bro, I had to post it. It was so nice, so good. He understands how big this opportunity is for him, and we all understand it, right? You know, he's the co-main event. It's in Azerbaijan. It's in Fiziev's country. We're gonna be in enemy territory, but you know, Nacho, he's not the type to shy away from anything, right? He knows that this is a huge fight, and then stylistically, bro, like I don't think it gets better for the UFC, the fans, than this type of fight. The way both of these guys strike, the way they move, and I've said it for so long. I think Nacho is the best striker in the UFC, and I think this is one of those fights where he's going to shine. He's going to show the world who he is, and especially being on ABC, right? That's a huge platform. It's going to be big out there, man. And I'm excited for like the whole card, right? You got Jamal Hill's out there too, man.
That's right.
Good energy out there. It's gonna be fun. I think. We're going to go out there 10 days early, and can't wait to get on there and just feel the air, feel the energy again, and just be in another arena.
Well, this team, no secret to going into the belly of the beast. Manchester, England rings a bell. We don't mind going into the backyard of other teams and doing what we need to do. So MSG, our next topic. Hate to go here, but Jack Della Maddalena seems destined to defend his belt against Islam Makhachev. Seems like maybe some rumblings that it'll be at MSG. So I guess I'm curious about that matchup as we swallow hard. And I know you're not going to make a pick on that fight. It hadn't even been announced, but just sort of your overall thoughts on that potential matchup, potentially that being at MSG. And also, hey, maybe that aligns with this welterweight's calendar, and we can sort of be on that card too. But anyway, talk to me about MSG, all that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, right? If it's MSG, for sure, I would want to be on that card, and definitely want to be on the same card as them. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think it makes sense for Islam to go all the way to Perth. I think that MSG, they usually have a big card, big main event. I don't know if they're trying to do John Jones for it, but I mean, like you said, we're swallowing hard on it. But for me now, it's just locking in and just making the next guy pay. I'm not the type that's going to be like, oh, Jack sucks now, or this guy did this, or I'm picking against him. I'm like, bro, I hope he wins, right? I hope he wins every single one of his fights, and then we meet again, and then I get the belt back for him, whoever he's fighting. So for me now, it's just focus on the next guy, get my next fight win, get this taste out of my mouth, and just get my hand raised again and get back to normal.
Guys like you and Merab Dwalishvili that like to be active. And you hear guys talk about stacking camps back to back, whatever it is. So, right, you beat Leon Edwards and then you're ready to go training for December 7th against Shavkat Rakhmonov. And then you have that all sucked away from you, literally and figuratively, in terms of your staff. So in terms of like stacking back to back camps, right? A lot of people, thought maybe you're a little more injured in this fight than you were. So it seemed, I think you mentioned last week, we talked a little bit about October, but obviously the focus is Ignacio Bahamondes, but it seems as though you are very much hoping to get right back in camp yourself.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, I'm ready to just, like, I had my gloves on yesterday was like sparring day, and Gerald like came up to me like, hey, what are you doing? I know you're not sparring. And I was like, no, I'm just drilling. I'm just moving around.
I love GM3. That's
yeah,
great.
no, he's the best. But yeah, for me, I think the October date's that's a little bit late, right? That's the October, November. Those are perfect time frame for me. You start like looking at the Chicago card and you're like, but that's a little bit of a rush. But for me, it's like, I think September, October, November, December, like there's definitely gonna be one more before the end of this year. And yeah, man, I just want to get back to working again. Like I said, now I have another goal. Now I have another chip on the shoulder to prove people wrong, prove all the people that are saying that it's not going to happen again. You'll never get the belt again. This, and
Good,
that.
exactly.
Like, cool. Keep saying that. I'm gonna work it. I'm gonna show you again.
I love it. And what I will say about Chicago, for those that didn't see the show last week, I do like what John said, because John's got mad love for you, about you getting flowers in a little bit of a different way on that card if you're not competing on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's your town, and being in that building, that'll be another maybe hard swallow to some extent, but I think it'll be a special night for you either way, man. You've come very, very far in this game, right? You know what I mean? World champion in the biggest show on earth,
Yeah, no, it's funny too. I literally had somebody message me the other day, like, "Hey, do you have the ticket link for Chicago?" And I was like, "Bro, like, that's what you're trying to ask me right now. Like, I care about that right now,
bro. Get out of here." All right. Moving on to some fake news, right? So I don't know if you saw this, but last week, Jason Anik, my twin brother, and Ray Longo were going at it on the show. And Belal was like, Belal versus Shavkat in October. There's your breaking news. Literally, like, kind of sarcastic like that. And all these networks like running with it. John does media for oddshark.com. I got guys emailing me from there, be like, wow, Belal so hard turning around. You got Danny Ruby and like, no way, like Shavkat probably not going to be ready, but it is just unbelievable. You got to be careful sometimes. But for those of you that thought that was real, like John was being sarcastic, Belal be ready to go, but no announcement real.
Yeah, bro. I was like, I got so many like DMs and messages, and I was like, who the fuck said this? And I was like, John. And then I went back to watch how he said it, and I was like you said, it was sarcastic the way he even said it, but I'm like, it was just funny. Yeah, I was like, bro, it got me in the headlines, right? Anytime you're in the headlines is fine. And for me, I'm gonna be ready for October against anybody. It don't even matter.
Yeah, well, exactly. And but even the Anik and Florian, like our social team, bit the bait too as well. So it was a lot of people, but my brother's been running his mouth for years, so a lot of time people don't pick it up, but certainly people want to talk about Belal Muhammad. So I just thought that was funny, and I have plenty of people reaching out to me telling me how hard you are to turn it around. Well, yeah, you are hard, because he's gonna turn it around then anyway. So we'll figure out who that opponent is. It's gonna be really fun to see what happens though in Atlanta June 14th between Buckley and Usman, because I think that could dictate something potentially. All right. I saw you at the Eastern Conference Finals. Indiana Pacers crossed over the border to go into Indiana versus the New York Knicks, right? Shout out Madge, right? Squares there. Hoos was there, right? In a suite. Looked amazing. And I saw it after the Pacers had won the game to beat the Knicks. So I guess, how was your night? I hope you were rooting for Indiana. Talk to me about that.
It was fun. Yeah. Shout out to Madge. He's like, yo, hey, you want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals? I got sweet tickets. And I was like, bro, let's go. It was like a 3-hour drive. But yeah, it was an epic game, man. The energy in the room is crazy over there. But I was like, there were so many Knicks fans. I was like, bro, if this was New York and Indiana fans walked in with jerseys on, like, they'll get jumped for sure. I was like, there's way too many Knicks fans in Indiana. And I was like, if New York ends up winning, I wonder what's going to happen. But it was a close game until the fourth quarter. I was like, bro, this playoff's been so trash. This whole conference finals games. Everything's a blowout. I'm like, bro, this is such a waste of time watching it. Like yesterday, I was like, I wanted Anthony Edwards to win so bad just to make it a series.
I hear you.
And it's going to end up being just like Indiana and OKC.
I know. I find myself always rooting for series to go on as long as they can, rooting for underdogs. You know, you're a Bulls fan, a little younger than me, but the Bulls-Knicks stuff was going on. I assume you were sort of around a little bit. You were young. But like as a Bostonian, we root against New York. I could talk for days about that. But do you root for or against the Knicks per se?
No, not per se. For me, like you said, in that era, in that time zone when the Bulls did have the rivalry with them, I was like, you took it for granted. You took the Bulls for granted. You're like, yeah, we'll have champions again after that.
Yeah.
And then me and Warren were literally just talking about it. We're like, we had to be born in 1968 to be like teenagers when the Bears won the Super Bowl. Then you would have been in the Jordan era. You would have been like in the 20s in the Jordan era. Then you would have been able to see the White Sox win the World Series, the Cubs win the World Series. I was like, dang, that would have been a perfect year to be alive.
Well, no, it really is interesting. And I could go down a long rabbit hole here, but my mom was born in Boston in 1952, right? So when she was 17 in 1969, the Celtics won their 11th title in 13 years, right? And my grandfather was a big basketball fan. So that was like but that's all she knew. It was like, you know, and I saw in the Celtics documentary, someone was saying how, you know, literally it's like every year you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then, you know, toward the summertime, the Celtics win the championship. But I will say I was born in 1978. Right? I've gotten to experience a lot of joy in the prime of my life with some of these Patriots teams, even Red Sox and Celtics. So I'm grateful, but I liked seeing you there. And for those of us that were rooting for Indiana, we like seeing you all there representing in your yellow. And I like that you made the trip because some of us who live on the coast, we don't always realize the Midwest, you know, you can make a little jump there. So I like seeing in the building.
It was only like a 3-hour drive. And it's funny too, because Jelly Roll and Ian ended up being at the game too. Like Ian's like, bro, yeah, Jelly Roll we were in Hamptons yesterday, and Jelly Roll was like, yo, let's go to the game tomorrow. And he said they just got out of his private jet and went to the game. And then they like left like right away, right afterward. I was like, oh man, I was
a whole different world.
I should have been a country singer.
I tell you what, though, in terms of those private planes, like, you know, I talked to one of Rogan security guys about a sort of flying private one time in the middle of a storm. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't mind being in the front of the plane, but I don't mind a big jet. But I'm like John Madden, a longtime football coach, right? Who he never flew anywhere, right? RV. If he had to call a game in Florida and then go up to Seattle, it was RV.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, never flew. So if he's I'm sure they catered his broadcasting schedule to that, but yeah never flew. Anyway,
yeah, that's crazy.
Dude. So hopefully we're going to get some game shows back as the lifeblood of this program, right? I got some people chirping at me, so we'll see. But, you know, we don't need Belal to be sort of booking guests, if you will, right? So anyone watching this show right now, whether you're a fighter, media member, even a fan, if you want to come on our game show, Belal may not treat you as respectfully as he always treats people. For some reason, when you come on the game show, like Belal's tougher than you, than he is on any other human. But anyway, maybe game show next week. But for today, we're going to put him through it. We're going to get to his Bicks. Bully's Bicks. Let me see it. So for those of you that don't know, Bully's Bicks, there is no P in Arabic. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you doing Bully's Bicks on Instagram on a regular basis now? Have we gotten back into that or not quite yet?
The comebacks this weekend.
Comebacks this weekend. I'm really excited to talk to you this week about your picks, because one thing that I've always said about you is, you know, we have 3 picks every week, 3 Bicks that we do on this show. If I were to go circle a random fight on the prelims, you probably know who both fighter faced in their last time out. You probably know a lot more about it, much more about it than the casual, even the casual fighter, right? So I love sort of getting your feel. And I also, what I've learned about you too, is that we come at you Thursday, but oftentimes Saturday morning, Bully might have changed his mind about certain things, right? Because a lot does happen. You see him on the scale, different things happen, right? There have been certain situations, even as we look at Zahabi and Jose Aldo, right? That the scope of that fight changed recently. So anyway, I'm excited for this card from the Apex. I talked to Buffer today on his show. He'll be in there. No Joe Martinez. You get Bruce Buffer this weekend. But anyway, we begin in the welterweight division. Your boy, Ramiz Brahimaj. By the way, so he was going to face Oban Elliott. And when Oban Elliott talked about not being part of this fight anymore, he pronounced Ramiz Brahimaj. I hope I pronounced it right. Oban pronounces his name right, which I have a ton of respect for, pronouncing his opponent's name right. But anyway, Brahimaj, 11-5 as a pro, was supposed to face Oban Elliott, as I said. Now he gets Billy Ray Goff. So Brahimaj, 3-3 in the UFC. He took more than 2 years off, which I know you're well aware of, between February 2022 and May of 2024. He did lose in May of 24. That was a 3-round unanimous decision loss to Themba Gorimbo. Bounced back, first-round knockout Mickey Gall last November. We discussed this Oban Elliott fight last week, and he was a very big underdog. I think Elliott had some visa issues. He's actually on the card June 21st with Nacho in Azerbaijan. But I digress. So Ramiz was a big dog there. Still a dog here, which I know surprised you, Bully, and a significant one, right? So Goff, not Jared Goff, right? Not Coco Goff. Billy Ray Goff, 9-3 as a pro, 1-1 in the UFC. So his last appearance about a year ago, lost unanimous decision to Trey Waters, had a couple fights canceled February of this year. So gets the short notice opportunity here, as well as this distinction as a heavy favorite over your friend. I assume you like your boy in the fight, and we will make you make a Bick. But do you know much about this guy, Billy Ray Goff?
Yeah, I mean, watching him, obviously, when Ramiz got the call and got the new opponent, because Coach Mike Valley is going to be in his corner. Ramiz did his whole camp down here with us. So we watched a lot of Oban Elliott. Then we had to do the switch up for Billy Ray. But, bro, that line is crazy. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Even with the last one with Oban, I know Oban is great, but like I think he was like a 5-1 favorite against Ramiz. I'm like, they're not giving Ramiz any respect after coming off a knockout against Mickey Gall and MSG. And he looked good. He looked dominant. His main thing is jiu-jitsu, obviously, but he got hands. He showed it, and he showed that how tough he is in his fights with Max Griffin, right? We've seen him in these wars. And like you said, he lost to Themba, but that was coming off of a 2-year layoff. A neck injury, and you just come in there and sometimes you're just flat. This one is wild to me. Billy Ray Goff, I think, is more of just like a brawler. He's tough. He's 1-1, I think, in the UFC, but there was nothing like that jumped off the page for him when I saw him. He gets hit a lot, he takes a beating a lot, and he just like toughens it out. For me, I think this is the perfect fight with Ramiz. I like this fight better than the Oban fight. I'm excited for it. I think Ramiz is going to go in there, piece him up, and I think Ramiz gets another finish here. To me, I think Billy Ray Goff is like a little step down from Mickey Gall. I think that Ramiz could go in there and finish this guy with his hands or on the ground.
It's really interesting. And when I was on Buffer's show, TJ DeSantis is the host, and he's been following this sport for a long time. And he talked about back in the day, the betting opportunities on the UFC were there because a lot of people didn't know this sport, even the handicappers, right? There was a lot of sort of unknown information. And so when certainly Vegas knows and does their homework now, but it almost felt like a situation like this where Ramiz a big dog, and then you slide in a new opponent, but to flip a line to make Ramiz the favorite even close, but he's a significant dog here. So for those of you that like dog hunting, maybe put a little tickle on Bully's boy.
Yeah, bro, I'm looking at it. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, is he like a freaking Francis Ngannou power? Or I'm like,
well, right.
Yeah, this guy stepped in at short notice. It's a new matchup. But like I said, Ramiz was training for a solid striker, a solid grappler in Oban. So it's like, it's not like he did anything different. It's not like it's a big change in stylistics. So like, it didn't make any sense for me why Billy Ray is still a 3-1 favorite for him.
And bulletin board material for Ramiz, Mike Valley, or even Ramiz, if you're watching, like Ramiz, no respect on your name, Ramiz, no respect on your name in Vegas. So next time, you're going to be in Vegas, right? So maybe go into some of those casinos and talk to some of the guys making the lines. But either way, bulletin board material for Ramiz. Wish your boy well as we move on to the co-main event. 3 rounds, the lightweight division. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this. Mateusz Gamrot, -162 versus Ludovic Klein, +136. So I think a big test here for the number 7th ranked Mateusz Gamrot. By the way, when I was on Buffer's show today, I don't even know if he said Mateusz or whatever he said, right? And I was like, John would want me to give my, because he's calling the name this week. John would want me to just, Mateusz, Buff, just give Mateusz, right? Because he'll be calling John. That's one name. It's a high-level fighter. Anyway, I digress. So Gamrot certainly has fought the stiffer competition without question across the board. Comes in having won 3 of his last 4. Those 3 wins, Jalen Turner by split decision, Rafael Fiziev. Fiziev left with an injury. That was a TKO. And then RDA, 3-round unanimous decision. That was March of last year. Lost a split decision to Dan Hooker in August of last year. But, won over Sarukyan, lost to Beneil Dariush, just been in there with everybody. Hasn't been in there with the best striker in the UFC, though, right? Nacho, Ignacio Balmondes. Ludovic Klein has been in there with Nacho and actually did beat Nacho 2 years ago. Nacho's certainly in a different spot right now. Bully, I've been on the Ludovic Klein bandwagon since the beginning, and I'm not blowing smoke. But what's interesting, right? He made his UFC debut September of 2020, which was when we started this show, right? And so he had this crazy knockout of Shane Young at UFC 253. And I remember, I said this earlier in the week, I started following him on Instagram at that point, right? And then he lost 2 straight. But I was like, all right, I'm going to follow this guy, right? Not the blessing when I start following you and you don't lose till after you win the belt. But anyway, so he has that knockout, Ludovic Klein. I've been talking about him. He lost 2 straight after that, but now he's unbeaten in 7 straight. And that win over Nacho has aged very well. I didn't love his performance last time out as a huge favorite over Roosevelt Roberts. While I think Nacho has gotten better and better, I don't know where Klein has gone, right? Brian Petrie on the Anik and Florian podcast this week, and we do come to you on the Anik and Florian podcast network. Brian Petrie put his whole $1,000 on place your bets on Mateusz Gamrot. I think Kenny put half of his bag on Ludovic Klein. Fascinated to hear your breakdown. Break the tie, co-main event.
Yeah, this one's interesting, right? Especially the Ludovic. That's one of the guys that we just go back and we think about it, right? That's the bulletin board material. Right?
Right.
Whenever you lose to somebody, he keeps winning. That's a good thing, right? You want him to keep winning. You want to meet him later down the road in a bigger spot. For Mateusz, it has to be like hard for him because he was so close to getting that title shot. He had that long streak. He was the backup. He was there. Then all of a sudden you lose one split decision. Then you lose the last fight against Hooker was a close split decision. And then I don't know, he made it seem like he changed the style a little bit in that fight. He's like, I want to get more exciting. You guys say I'm not exciting now. Look at me go. This is exciting. I hope you liked it. But I want to see which Mateusz comes out of this fight. I think that he's going to have to wrestle a little bit. You don't want to strike with Ludovic. Coming off of a loss, I think Mateusz is going to shoot on him multiple times. But this guy's a tank. This guy's a ball of muscle. He has good hands, great striking. His wrestling is good. He's hard to take down just because, like I said, he's short. He's closer down to the floor, and he's like all muscle. But Mateusz, he just comes with so much different styles of wrestling. He'll shoot that low single leg on you, shoot a double leg. We've seen him go against guys like Arman and beat Arman and have those type of just nothing but straight grappling the whole time, right? And I think he'll have that energy in this fight. For a 3-round fight, I think it's going to be tough for Ludovic unless he gets a finish to beat Mateusz. So I think I'm going to pick Gamrot in this fight. I think he's going to wrestle him, take him down. And Gamrot's the king of split decisions. So I could see it even being a close decision for Gamrot and it come down to like maybe 1 or 2 takedowns, right? That gets him this win.
As excited as I am for this fight, it's not going to surprise me if it under-delivers in terms of excitement a little bit. I think it could very well be contested in certain spots on the ground, but it really is interesting to watch a lot of these fighters' trajectories. And obviously, I said, by the time Ludovic Klein faced Nacho, you can be sure every ounce of my being was rooting hard for Nacho. And Nacho has just continued to evolve and probably learned a lot from that loss. But Ludovic Klein's opportunity is now, right, as an unranked fighter to get yourself in the rankings, whether he steals that 7 or comes close to that. But this is your shot, right? And for Mateusz Gamrot, I respect him for taking this fight. I don't think probably there are tons of options there. You're facing a dangerous unranked guy. But I think for Ludovic Klein, it may be sort of now or never, to get yourself into the picture in a really tough division.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to fight Gamrot, right? His style, that's the hardest style to fight, is a guy that just constantly shoots on you. So for Ludovic, he couldn't get a ranking. He couldn't get a ranked guy, even though he has one of the longest winning streaks in that division. And he's another guy that's like, the juice is not worth the squeeze to fight him because he is tough. He has a long streak, but his name isn't big enough. He doesn't talk enough. And I think that's why when you have those upper echelon guys with those big rankings and they don't want to fight downward. Nobody ever wants to fight downward, especially in that division. So it's hard for these guys. So both of them had to take this fight, I feel like. And it's going to be tough for the guy that loses because, like, whoever loses this fight, they're going to be out of the rankings, and it's going to be tough for him to get back in there.
Well, and a guy like, for both of them, it really, my brother John always said it's a 2-year setback if you're sort of in a spot where you're about to get into either a championship opportunity, title eliminator, you lose that fight, a 2-year setback. Mateusz Gamrot, I'm not sure that he can climb back up the mountain if he loses here, right, and put himself in the title picture again. Ludovic Klein, perhaps, but I actually think whoever loses this fight is going to have a stiff climb. As we move on to the main event, another one I can't wait to hear your thoughts on. Flyweight division, number 4th ranked Erin Blanchfield minus 238 versus number 5 Maycee Barber plus 195. I mentioned last week the betting line surprised me. I talked to Dean Thomas this week, and I felt as though maybe the betting line made a little bit more sense. He talked about perhaps Erin Blanchfield getting this where she wants and perhaps using Maycee's aggressiveness against her. So Blanchfield was all the rage prior to her loss against what was a title eliminator against Manon Fiorot. Bounced back with a big win against a big name, Rose Namajunas. That was November of last year. I think got some of the momentum back. Certainly if she can get this fight to the ground where she wants it, potentially could be a tough night for Maycee. But I believe, like I told you last week, in the overall game of Maycee Barber, she's won 6 straight since her loss to Alexa Grasso. That was UFC 258, February of 2021. Last fight out was more than a year ago, UFC 299 in Miami. Third round unanimous decision win over Caitlin Sermonara. She had foot surgery since. That explains the layoff. So Blanchfield just turned 26 this month. Maycee Barber just turned 27. We talk about these 2-year windows. One of them, I think, is punching their ticket potentially to a championship opportunity. The other, perhaps that 2-year setback. So not all that close on paper. You like Maycee Barber, who I know you know pretty well, trained with, or Erin Blanchfield, the favorite?
Yeah, I mean, both of them came into the UFC hot, right? Maycee's like, I'm the future. I'm going to be the youngest champion. I'm going to beat John Jones' record. And then you out there, you lose to Roxanne. You're like, all right, she's not the same. But she tore her ACL in that fight. Right. I think she's just finally started getting into her feet, like solidified in the UFC. I think now she's starting to fight more comfortably, fight the way that everybody thought she would fight when she first got into the UFC. Because she had those weird fights, right? Even when she fought Alexa Grasso, it was like, remember, she was like shadow boxing out there in the middle of the cage. Like, what is she doing? She's not even like near her. She's just throwing punches. But I feel like she has a different comfort level to her now, especially the way she beat Ribas. She looked great. She looked amazing. For Blanchfield, she had all the hype in the world. She was, the female Habib. And then when she got out there against Fiorot like showed all the weaknesses in her. When she can't get the takedown, she has really no plan B. There's nothing there. And then she goes out there and she fights Rose, and her hands didn't look bad. She had good moments in that fight. She on the feet, and then she'll get the takedown. And to beat someone like Rose is huge for her. So I think that they're both going to come in very confident. But I think Maycee she's very strong for that division. I think Maycee's going to be able to defend a lot of those takedowns, especially you're training at Alpha Male with those guys down there. There's a lot of people out there that are going to wrestle you, shoot on you a bunch. And I think if she could stay off the fence, stay off the ground, her striking is going to be a little bit too much for her. She kind of used that Fiorot style of defending, then using your kicks to keep that long distance and then catch Blanchfield as she's running in, bull rushing her, trying to just take those reckless takedowns without setting them up really. But I think it all comes down to just Maycee's footwork. Maycee's defending those takedowns, staying off the fence. It's in the apex, so it's going to be a smaller cage. So her footwork is going to need to be on point, and she's going to need to hurt her with her hands. And I know Maycee got power in her hands, power in her kicks. So I think I'm picking Maycee here.
I like it. So if Blanchfield does get it to the ground, do you think? I just feel like Maycee's going to be very strong and potentially more difficult to keep there than some of Blanchfield's past opponents.
Yeah, and for being a 5-round fight, I think that Maycee just needs to play it really safe, especially if she gets taken down early, right? Because you're going to have those other rounds to pick it up. And then I think we saw Blanchfield lose a lot of steam in the later rounds with Fiorot. And I think if Maycee gets to that point, I think Maycee has that power in her hands to finish, power in her kicks to finish the fight. And I think for Maycee, if you do get taken down early, it's playing it safe. Don't give up any big positions where you're giving up your back or giving up your neck at any point. And I think that, like I said, the team that she trains with is very smart. I think she's very smart. I think she was born and bred for this, and she knows if she wins this fight, it's for the title. she's getting the title next. So this is what she's been working for. So I'm excited to see how she looks.
So you're going to be going to Azerbaijan with Nacho fairly soon coming up, right? And I think about obviously your championship camps with Chef Larios and everything you've done. And obviously you know how to run a camp maybe without all of the resources, right? So Nacho is going to be in right. There's a time difference and they're not going to be a private chef there, all these different things. So I assume you take a lot of what you've learned and to the best of your ability, boots on the ground, try to create the best possible environment for Nacho. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Like for me, I fought in Abu Dhabi twice, Dubai twice, one time where we went 10 days early, one time where we went 5 weeks early. I know the differences. I feel it. I fought in Australia. So I've been around. I've been around where those time zone changes, out of the country, weird spots where you're like, all right, let's try to figure something out. So like we're working on it. We got a chef for bringing out with us. Shout out to Sam. He would work with Nacho his last fight.
Okay.
And, we worked with Yair for his camp. So he's a great chef, great cook. He's working with
Sam
from the UFC. So for us, the biggest thing is just getting down there and getting his sleep patterns right. But Nacho is literally, like if you're ever with Nacho fight week, he can fall asleep with like a snap of a finger. He's like the only guy I've ever seen that can just sleep at any moment. He loves sleep. Sleep is his hobby. Like it doesn't matter where he is, what he's doing. He can just fall asleep at any moment. So like I'm not worried about him. I'm more worried about myself. Like, all right, this jet lag is gonna be hard. But for me, I like to be out there. I know it's gonna be fun to jog the mountains, hike the mountains.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing the Chicago Triathlon in August. So it'll give me something to train for while I'm out there, get something to work for while I'm out there. I was like, I told you, yeah, let's do the triathlon. He's like, yeah, the long one. I was like, yeah, let's do the long one. So we're going to do the long triathlon. And it's just like, yeah, it's the August one. And then it was, I forgot, it's like maybe like a 1.3 mile swim, like I think 9 mile jog and like a 50 mile or like 70 mile bike ride. And then I was like, yeah, we can start training for it this weekend. And then I sent him the thing to like sign up for it. He's like, oh, we're doing this one? I thought you wanted to do the long one. I was like, this is the long one. Because they had like a sprint and they had like the international one. And he's like, no, I thought you wanted to do he sent me like the Ironman. I was like, bro, I'm not doing the Ironman. He's like, bro, this is not even hard. We don't even have to train for this one.
Hilarious.
I got to train for this one. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Hilarious. Shout out Paul Felder. He'll get in on some of that action.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna Paul for the tips.
But it is interesting. Yeah, shout out Chef Sam, right? A couple bonuses for Nacho. He can afford to do that a little bit, but that's great. I'm excited for you guys. It's just such a big spot for Nacho. And you think about all the big spots for you, whether it be a Wonder Boy or a Damian Maya, this is his spot right here. And he's young but gosh, man, it just feels like he's ready. Yeah, I think like you seeing it, right? This is that moment that like after this, it's like this is where you get into the Max Holloway's, the Justin Gaethje's, this is where the title hunt comes, right? Especially Nacho beating a guy like Fiziev. He just went to war with Justin Gaethje, who could be getting a title shot next. And if Nacho goes out there, finishes them, or gets a great performance that like I know he could do, then his name's in the mix. His name's up there with those guys, especially being Chilean. They haven't been to Chile in a while, so they put a card around him on there. I think whatever happens, right? He gets his victory. It's going to be a huge fight, huge moment for him. And that's when he'll be 1 or 2 wins away from a title fight. I assume there's a part of you that it feels like a gift to be able to really focus on this right now, given what May 10th led, because while you seem great and are great, it's not like May 10th is ever too far from your mind. So there's probably a nice little turn of the page, if you will, and really to apply your focus somewhere where you deeply care about it,
Yeah, 100%, right? It's like, it's not off my mind at all, right? I'm thinking about that every day. I'm watching it every day. I still had that, the poster. I'm like, I'm going to hang it up just so I could remind myself every day, right? To even just push myself even harder. But now this just gives me something else to work for. This gives me, I got Nacho now. So it's giving my mind off it. I'm focusing on him, focusing on whatever he needs to do to get this victory, whatever he needs from me to get his hand raised, right? It's not going to be, it's you do your own thing, I'm going to do my own thing, blah, 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 like whatever. It's like, nah, that's my brother right there. I'm going to make sure that whatever he gets from me is everything I got.
I love it. Shout out Ignacio Balmondes. We'll be talking about him. You can be sure as the weeks go on. So a lot going on. We got Newark on the 7th, and then I got Dirty Boxing down here in Miami, June 14th. Really excited for that opportunity. Jairzinho Rosenstrike headlining that card, which should be interesting. So Biggie boy, but should be fun, man. Bubba Jenkins,
like fight card too. Saeed Yakub.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's like Alex Caceres.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So a lot of familiar names that aren't too far away. Platinum Mike Perry on the stick. So it'll be fun, man. So look forward to that. A lot going on. But we appreciate y'all being with us today on Remember the Show. Anything else, Bully, before we get out of here?
Game show next week. Cokehead Nate Diaz. If you want something, come find me, bro.
Hey. But anyway, and whenever you bring up sort of random names, all of a sudden the name that pops into my head is Sean Strickland. At some point, Belal Muhammad needs to fight Sean Strickland. That just has to happen. I have to see those two. Shout out Nixick, okay? Mad love for you, dog. But we got to see that at some point. Anyway, for Cody Merrow at the helm, we appreciate you as always. Belal Muhammad, Jason Anik. We'll see you next week. Remember the show. Appreciate you. Have a good night.